Hi, in this video we are going to look at how we can check if all characters in our string are uppercase. So a string in Python is a sequence of characters, can be lowercase, can be uppercase, can be what they call special characters, can be digits, and then we define a string. The way it's defined is by enclosing it in the quotation marks, which can be the single or double quotation marks. Now a string is really one of the most popular and commonly used data types. So there are various ways we can handle strings and manipulate them, but what we're going to look at today is really focused and specific. We're just going to look at ways we can check to see if our string is uppercase or not. Let's start by doing two examples. So example one, we'll do a mixture of upper and lowercase, so it's all in lowercase primarily. We've got one or two uppercase characters in there, and we've got a special character here at the end. And example two, we'll use only uppercase characters. And we'll just include another special character and some more exclamation marks. Oh, we should include some digits as well. There you go. So we have two examples there, and they're both the uppercase, lowercase. We've got special characters, we've got digits, we've got all our bases covered. So the first method we're going to look at is the isUpper method. And the key points to note here, two key things. The first thing is this is a built-in method, so I don't have to import any libraries to use it. And the second thing is this will actually return a Boolean value. So it will return a true false answer only, true if everything is upper, or false if there are any lowercase letters or characters, sorry. So let's try it with example one. So we're asking, is everything uppercase, in example one? And we get false, no surprise there, because capital H, capital R, but everything else is lowercase. Let's try the same thing for example two. We get true. So that's great. So we have all uppercase characters, but the thing to bear in mind, which we'll look at when we look at the other methods, is this one has ignored the ampersand. So it's ignored special characters and it's ignored our digits. It's focused on the alphabetic characters only. So that's a good start, but let's look at some other methods. The second method we're going to look at is called regex, or which is a special Python module for searching and matching characters within our Python strings. The thing to bear in mind with this one is that the way that regex defines characters is different to what we've looked at with our Python string. So basically Python strings, the characters are defined in Unicode, whereas regex works with what we call Ascii. It doesn't make any difference to the way that we see it, but it does make a difference to the way that regex actually searches the strings, because it works on a different class of characters. So regex has a classes of characters. It has alphabetic characters, it has digits, which is a separate class of characters, and it has special characters, which are again a different class of characters. So because it has these distinct sets of characters, it works slightly differently. It's probably going to be easier for me to show you how this works. So the first thing I'm going to do is to import the library regex. So I do import re, and then we're just going to do a little bit of code. So we're going to actually specify a Boolean value here because we just want a true or false answer, and we're going to ask regex to match. So it's going to match our string, and we use the parameter here A to Z, capital A to Z. That basically is saying we want to match alphabetical A to Z characters only in our string, and we want it to go to the end of the string, which you do like that. So we want it to match alphabetical A to Z characters only in our string, and we're going to do from example one to start with. So not example one, I put example exclamation mark, my mistake. And the other thing I need to do is actually print it out. So I need to print out the result, and that's false. That's not a surprise, because like our first string does contain some lowercase characters as well, so it's not only uppercase characters in our string. Now what happens if we change this to example 2? What are we expecting? For example 2, which is this one here, that only contains uppercase alphabetic characters, which is what we're looking for. Oops. So, oh, yeah, this is returned false as well. Bit surprising maybe, but the reason it's returned false is because, as we said, the way that regex works with its character definitions is slightly different. So our special characters are not uppercase alphabetic characters. Our digits are not uppercase alphabetic characters. So as we're basically saying to regex, does this string only contain uppercase alphabetic characters? It's returned false because it contains special digits and it contains special characters. So unlike this isUpper method, the special characters and the digits are actually counted, and because it's in our string, it's returned false. Now let's just have a quick look. If I do an example with only uppercase this is only uppercase, so what would happen if we tried this example 3 on the same function? So I didn't save it. No, try that again. This is returned false as well. This might come as a surprise. It certainly came as a surprise to me because I've only got uppercase characters here. Now the thing with this regex module is that it's not only the special digits, it's not only the special characters and digits, but it's also our white spaces. Our white spaces are also counted. Because our white spaces are not uppercase A to Z, it's returned false. So let me get rid of my white spaces now. So I have no white spaces, I have no special characters, and I have no digits. Let me save that. Now what will happen? It's returned true. So the only way this is actually going to work for us is if we're sure our original text doesn't have any white spaces, doesn't have any special characters, and doesn't have any digits. I think that's really unlikely, and for that reason, it's not a very useful function for us. But what we can do is actually turn this on its head slightly, and just use the way that regex defines its characters to our advantage. So rather than actually looking for uppercase characters, what would happen if we said to regex, we actually want to see if there are any lowercase characters within our string. The logic behind this is if there's a lowercase character, it means the string doesn't contain only uppercase characters. The advantage behind this is that it will ignore the special characters, it will ignore the digits, because all we're looking for are lowercase alphabetic characters on the basis, again, just to clarify, on the basis that if there's a lowercase alphabetic character, it means that our string does not contain only uppercase alphabetic characters. Let's have a look at how we would use that, and we'd basically have to just slightly tweak our code here. So we're still going to try and match, but this time we use special characters to actually search from, special character here to search our string character by character. And we're not looking this time for uppercase, we're looking for lowercase, so we change that to lowercase. And again, we want to search character by character. So what we're saying here, and I'll go this to example 1, what this is basically saying is, are there any characters at all within this string, example 1, that are lowercase? Because if they're lowercase, they're not uppercase. So let's try that. And I get true. So yes, that's true. The capital H, capital R aside, all my other alphabetical characters here are lowercase. So that's true. It does contain some lowercase characters. Let's have a look at example 2. And this is returned false, which is great, because I do have special characters. I have some digits, but it's not interested in those. It's only interested in our alphabetic characters, and there are only uppercase alphabetic characters. So there are no lowercase, so it's returned false, which is what I wanted it to do. And finally, example 3 is false too. Yeah, everything here is uppercase. There are no lowercase characters. So this does work. We've kind of applied a slightly reverse logic to it, but because of the way that regex defines our characters, this Ascii method of character definition, that's the only way we can really use it to check our alphabetic characters are uppercase, because otherwise we'd have to write a fairly complex function that would ignore special characters, ignore digits, and ignore white spaces. Okay, the final thing we're going to look at is what I've called the Ascii method. And this uses the string library, and the string library basically contains function that are specifically for processing Python strings. And we can use this to search our string, but again, this does the search based on that ASCII character, which we've just touched on with regex. So as we've seen, unless we're 100% sure that our original string contains no digits, special characters, or white spaces, searching based on whether all our characters are uppercase can be problematic. So because I think we can't really ensure that, we're going to use this reverse check method again. So we're going to say, well, if there's anything lowercase in our string, it means that not all our characters are uppercase. And then again, we can limit this to alphabetic characters only. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to import the string library, and then we're going to use a any method. So this will basically search over our string character by character, and we're going to look for any character in our string that is an ASCII lowercase character. So this will limit it to alphabetical characters because it's lowercase, and we're going to look at for all our characters. Let's do an example 1. So what we're saying here is basically character by character, are there any characters in this string that are lowercase? And we would expect it to come back true. Oops, did I import string? Oops, sorry, my mistake. It's yeah, sorry. So this thing here, so string, we're looking at ASCII underscore lowercase, and I also need to print out my result. So yeah, we expect it to come back true because we do have some lowercase characters here. Now let's have a look what happens if we try that with example 2. I would expect this to come back as false, hopefully, because we're looking for only lowercase ASCII characters. Yeah, and there's nothing lowercase in there. So it's ignoring the digits, it's ignoring the special characters, and that's great. Now, what would happen if we did the uppercase? So if we looked at this for uppercase characters only, comes back true. So each of these characters is uppercase because we're looking at the ASCII character definition of it. It works in example 2 because they're all uppercase, but if we tried that for example 1, it also comes back true. That's because it contains 2 uppercase characters. So it's not telling me that all my characters are uppercase, it's only telling me it does contain uppercase characters. So that's why we're doing this slightly reverse. We're saying basically if it contains lowercase characters, any lowercase characters, it means that our string does not only contain uppercase characters. Okay, so the final method we're going to look at is based on ASCII values. I've left this till last because I really think it's the most complicated of all the things that we've done. It's based on the fact that each of our ASCII characters, so each of our alphabetic characters, the uppercase and the lowercase, each of our special characters within ASCII, and each of our digits within ASCII have their own particular and unique value. So what we can do is we can actually search based on the ASCII values for our characters. For example, an ASCII value for uppercase alphabetic characters, so from A to Z, their values range from 65 to 90, and for lowercase it ranges from 97 to 122. Now we can check the ASCII value using a function called ORD, and let's see how that works. Let me just again, I just want to get rid of some of this because I don't want to go too far down. Oops. Okay, so this function basically returns our ASCII value. So the order of capital A is 65 and the order of a small a is 97. We don't have to import any libraries to use this. So if we do, again, we're going to use our any function. So what we're going to do is we're going to check if any of our characters are in the range of the lowercase alphabetic characters. So again, we're using this reverse check method because we have this problem with white spaces, we have this problem with special characters. What we're basically doing is saying that if it falls within the range of a lowercase value, it means our string does not only contain uppercase. and we have to iterate it over our string line by line, character by character. So we're going to check each character in our string, each one of these, and see if it contains any lowercase. So for example 1, and again I'm going to have to print this out. I'm going to return a Boolean value. Do any of our characters contain lowercase? So does any of our string contain lowercase characters? True. Yes it does. In example 1, so it's ignoring these special characters, it's just looking at the lowercase within that range. So if I do that for example 2, what's happened here? Sorry, let me just check this. Sorry, I have realised I've done less than, so it's between 97 and 122, so greater than 97 and less than 122. So if I do that again for example 1, it's true. So all the characters here, it contains some lowercase characters here. And if I do this for example 2, does it contain any lowercase characters? False. So it's ignoring the special characters, it's ignoring the digits, and we're just looking for lowercase characters. If I try that for example 3, it's false as well. So let's just change that, and if I change example 3 to hello, or lowercase, and I run that again, it's true. So it's one way of doing it, I guess, but again, it does seem overly complicated to have to work out what the ASCII value is and then work out if the characters fall within the range of the ASCII value. So we've seen a few different ways of checking if our characters of a string are uppercase, and the key thing I've looked at is whether all the characters are uppercase. We're not just looking to see if it contains any uppercase, we want this all characters uppercase method. For me, this is upper method that we've seen here is really the most simple and most straightforward way of doing it, because by default it's ignoring our special characters, it's ignoring our digits, and it's purely focusing on the alphabetic characters, uppercase or not. We've looked at regex, we've looked at these ASCII value methods of doing it. Yes, they do provide an answer, but I think it overcomplicates it because of the issue it has with defining the special characters, with defining digits, and even with white spaces. It's making something more complicated than it needs to. It depends on what your original file is. If you're sure your original file only contains alphabetic characters, if you're sure it contains no white spaces, then yes, you can use these other methods, but I think that's a tough definition of a file to make. So I would say the is upper method is really the most straightforward way of doing it. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and thank you for taking the time to watch.